Hey, this is Tom with Cedar Mountain Survival. I just want to wrap up the second video from the fire starting in the northeast winter time here in Maine. Focus mainly on the Tinder type material that you're going to need, how to get that in the wild, and how to incorporate it into your fire. I'll probably do another video. The last video, the series, will just be utilizing some of those Tinder material types, starting start to finish fires out in the woods. But so this has been kind of the Tinder part, the second part of the series. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Thanks again, Tom with Cedar Mountain Survival. Back to a location right now. There's some cat-nine-tail alongside the road to collect it easily, but obviously you want to be careful if you're in the wild and you're collecting cat-nine-tail, because it's usually around a water source, and a lot of times these swampy areas don't freeze very well, and you run the risk of falling through and getting your feet wet. So I guess it wouldn't be my first choice as a Tinder material anyway, because what it's going to do is aid in other Tinder materials. You're going to put it in your Tinder bundle, but by itself as a Tinder material, it's not great because it flash burns. It doesn't burn for an extended period. It just kind of flares up. But you may want that in your Tinder bundle to utilize any spark that you're able to get into your bundle. If you can integrate it or incorporate it into your Tinder bundle, you'll have a better chance of getting a fire. So there's some more over here. I'm just going to collect a few stalks of this so that I have it on hand. So also in this area, I've seen a lot of, which I showed earlier, this moss. I don't know if you call it moss, lichen. I'm not even sure. It's kind of similar, like, I think of it as like Spanish moss. I'll have to get the real name for you. But this stuff hanging from the trees, once you dry it out, makes a good tinder. And it's everywhere out here in this swampy area. You find it a lot on fir trees or out in the woods here in the northeast. We're on our way to pick up some cattails on this road here, just to demonstrate as a fire starter. And I happen to see some of this lichen on the trees, and I want to point that out as well. It makes a good fire starter. You might have to dry it out a little bit in your pocket or next to your body. Get some of your body heat to dry it out, but once it's dry, it makes great fire starter in your Tinder bundle. So we'll collect some of that, and little trees right here also have some really good dry sticks in them, which would make good on the Tinder bundle. One thing I'll talk to you about once we get down to the, I think there's going to be some cat-nine-tail down here on the road. Just drive into it to collect it easily so that I can show you how it works. But cat-nine-tail is it absorbs toxins from the environment. So if you were to use it as a food source, you'd want to be careful that you didn't get it from a contaminated area, such as right next to a roadway or something along those lines. Cat-nine-tail, you can eat the roots and the flower on the top. You can also use the top as flour, actually, to mix it in with flour. Way here that in this swampy environment, I see this type of grass quite a lot, and I don't know how it's going to react as a tinder, but I'm curious, so I'm going to collect some of this, the tops from these grasses and the stalks, and see if I can incorporate it into a tinder bundle and see if it'll burn. So pretty strong stock. Probably use my knife. Might be helpful. I'm going to shut this off and cut these off. Today I just wanted to go over, I'm going to try talking loud enough into the camera here. I want to go over some materials I collected yesterday out by the swamp that's nearby here. Collected some, there was a lot of this old man's beard. I've used this before. It works really good as a tinder material. I just kind of wanted to show you how it typically comes on like fir trees. It'll attach itself. It's called old man's beard. It's a type of lichen that grows here in the Northeast, and you find it commonly on trees here in the area. And go over some of the other items that I collected. It was a swampy area that had some cat nine tail. I like to use the cat nine tail as a initial fire starting source in a tinder bundle. By itself as a tinder material, it's not great because it flash burns. I'll demonstrate how that burns, and I'm going to demonstrate how all this stuff burns. But the cattail burns really quickly and hot, but doesn't burn very long. It just kind of flashes up, and we'll demonstrate that. But I also found some of this other stuff near the cat nine tail. It's called, I believe it's called common reed. It's a type of grass that grows out in the swampy area, and obviously this has gone to seed, but we'll make a little bundle of this, and it is similar to the cat nine tail and how it burns, except I feel like it holds the flame a little bit longer. So these two items would be really good for catching a spark from a ferrocerium rod, which I'll demonstrate. I just got this actually in the mail today. It's called Bayite, or Bayite. It's a 4-inch survival ferro rod with a striker. I got off Amazon for pretty cheap money. I just looked like a good deal, so we'll try using that to light some of this stuff. But yeah, so those items that I've just collected. Birch bark. I don't have any birch bark with me right here, but you'll see in plenty of my videos the use of birch bark. Birch bark is the #1 thing I like to go to in the woods because it's easy to find, it's easy to acquire, and it burns really hot, and it works great as a tinder material. But just to demonstrate, we'll collect some of this old man's beard, and I don't know if I've ever used a ferro rod on this. We'll see if it lights with a ferro rod. I think I have a lighter here somewhere if it doesn't. Usually just like to pin this in whatever material it is on. Trying to get lit. There we go. So that lights up pretty good. This old man's beard, I would say, is probably, next to birch bark, is probably one of the #1 tinder materials that you can utilize around here. It just burns for a pretty good long time. Once you get it lit, you can just put your little sticks in there and dry everything out. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the old man's beard as a tinder material. It burns pretty well, easy to light. I think the next one I'll do is I'll show you the common reed grass, I guess is what it's referred to as. It's the closest thing I could find. I'll use some of the stem material too to crush up in the bundle so that give a little bit more staying power as far as after it lights. But you can see the old man's beard lit pretty well. Get rid of that. And next is common reed. I'll make a pretty good sized bundle of it just to demonstrate how it lights as a tinder. Again, this is stuff that I just found, out here behind the house or around the house. You can find it just about everywhere in Maine. I see it whenever I go hiking or hunting. Around these parts, you can pretty much find it. That stuff lights up really easily. Doesn't burn as long as the old man's beard or the lichen, but as far as getting an initial fire, it just catches that much easier. It's very breezy out here today. I'm going to try and keep this from blowing away. does. It's not going to catch anything on fire because of where I'm at. It's a pretty safe area, but definitely is breezy. Cold. Night's been getting down. It was around, I don't know, 1 degree last night, so pretty cold. So you can see that it burns pretty good, and you combine that with some other material, which is what I like to do with the cat nine tail and this common reed, is combine it with some other tinder bundle material. It really helps keep it lit for a while. But all right. So next we'll just kind of demonstrate the cat nine tail. This stuff is really just it catches super easy, but it doesn't burn for very long. It flashes. So I think it makes a great initial tinder material for a fire starter, but as you can see, it doesn't last. It burns right out. So if you combine that with some other materials, let's say we combine some of these things together. Let's just, for example, grab some of the cat nine tail, some of this old man's beard, kind of incorporate all this into a tinder bundle. Again, you want to get the fluff from the cat nine tail in there. So right here we have some cat nine tail, as well as some common reed and some of the old man's beard. I like this ferro rod. It's got a long strike. Because of its length, it's pretty good. So again, you can see that that's still kind of burning there. It's going to give you a little bit longer to that old man's beard. Just kind of extends the flame a little bit for your bundle. So if you needed to, you could start to dry stuff out on there. And that's the problem with the, you can see the old man's beard didn't catch. So, I'll put some more of that in there, and some more cat nine tail. Not the best conditions for lighting a fire with the wind blowing the way it is, but so that's what you'd want to do, is try and get your wood on top of the bundle, some of the smaller stuff, smaller shavings. So obviously, whenever you are starting a fire, you want to start small. This wood is like, I think it's ash. It's really not the best for shavings for starting a fire, but it will work. You just have to dry it out. So I'd have to say the cat nine tail really flares up pretty good with the ferrocerium rod. And if you've got it incorporated with some other materials, it will burn pretty well before you get a good fire started. So those are the pretty much the natural materials that I collected. Next, I'll show you some of the stuff I carry in my kit to start fires. In case you're not able to acquire any of these things in the woods around you, or need to get a fire going in a hurry, and you don't have those things readily available to you. One of the things I carry in my kit, and I've done a video on my fire kit. If you search for it, I've done an inexpensive fire kit that you can make at home to carry with you. This is just Vaseline and cotton balls blended together in a little canister. So this Vaseline and cotton ball makes an excellent tinder source. What you want to do though is pull the when you take it out of the canister, pull the cotton ball apart into strands like that. It's just going to give the flame something to catch on to, and this should light up pretty easily. It is a great fire starting material. See, it burns really hot, really quickly. So works pretty good. I like to have some of that with me. It is excellent. I use that in survival school when I was in the Air Force. It works very well. So push that off to the side. Next thing I like to carry. I did get some of this stuff at Walmart. I might as well just show you what this is. It's honestly, it's not the best stuff, but it does stay lit for quite a while. I don't think it's very expensive, but just having some stuff like this on hand in case you need it in an emergency is helpful to have. So. Cedar, I did light. It's not a bad thing to have. It does stay lit a little bit longer maybe than the cotton ball that I carry, but this stuff works pretty good. It's called Instafire Fire Starter from Walmart. I think I paid very much for it, and the bag lasts quite a while. You get a bag, you get a bunch of that stuff, so I'll have to get some more of that for my kit, but as you can see, that stuff burns pretty well. The next thing I have in my kit, my fire kit, it's a demonstrated how to make this in the kit. It's a egg carton coated in and cotton ball and dryer lint coated in wax, and this actually is a great thing to have in your kit because once this is lit, it'll stay burning for 10-20 minutes. It just has a long life, and you can just put stuff on there and it'll dry it all day long to keep your fire going. So what you want to do is just kind of light the corner of it, and once you get it lit, the wax will kind of keep it burning. You can stick that in a snowbank and it'll just, because of the wax coating, it'll just, it doesn't matter what's underneath it as far as a base to keep things dry, it's gonna continue to burn for you. Once it gets into the cotton ball or the dryer lint in there too, it will really burn well. But I did demonstrate how to make one of these in my fire kit. It's just a good, inexpensive thing to have in your kit, easy to make, and very reliable thing. If you can get that lit, it'll stay lit for a good long time, so that you can start to dry out some of the smaller tinder some of the smaller twigs and items that you want to dry out to get on your fire. So works excellent as an emergency fire starter, and I always carry that in my kit. Those are really the principal three things that I carry for tinder material in my kit. The cotton balls are great. This thing, and then sometimes I'll have like a store-bought, like they have some other tabs and stuff that you can buy in the camping or hiking section of like Walmart that work out pretty good. But you want to have some kind of emergency tinder with you too, if you can. But just if you didn't have that stuff with you and you needed to rely on Mother Nature, the cat nine tail, the old man's beard, birch bark, all those things work really, really well. This stuff called common reed that you can find is also pretty good. So, as well as any grasses and things like that you can find. This time of year there's quite a bit of snow, so you may be limited to what you can find that's not covered in snow as far as grasses go, but certainly cat nine tails, get up above the grass. This you already find in trees, old man's beard, and birch bark is usually pretty dry too. So this fire here, as you can see, burns very hot, and it'll burn for a real long time. So I'll have to cut the video before. I'm not going to leave the video on. It'll probably burn for a good 15-20 minutes. So anyway, it's just a demonstration of what I like to carry. On survival, just wanted to do a follow-up on the tinder material fire starting in the winter here in the Northeast video that I made. One thing that I've incorporated into my fire kit recently is a Fresnel Lens, or a solar fire starter, for the main purpose that you don't know how long your survival situation is going to be. You want to have a solar way to start a fire, just to preserve your matches, your dry matches, and other fire starting materials. You want to have solar because it extends your ability to make fire, and it's always a good thing. So I went online and I ordered one of these Fresnel lenses, and I'll do a video on the just kind of the unboxing of that and give you the brand. But I want to try it out on the tinder material that I showed you the other day with the cat nine tail, the cattail, the Spanish moss or old man's beard, and some of that common reed that I procured the other day. So just going to see how this is. Did say in the instructions that the lens works best on a darker tinder type material, so I had some darker old man's beard there that I just kind of put on top. Good luck with the Fresnel Lens with the tinder bundle. I'm going to try putting a little on this char cloth and see how that works out. Focused enough here. Appears that I gotten some members in my char cloth here. Alright, so definitely works with the char cloth, which I guess I kind of expected. but not so well with a Tinder bundle. I think the key is getting an ember started. I had pretty good embers going there, but I didn't have at the time any of the birch bark incorporated into my bundle. So I think if you have a lot of this little fluff stuff, like the common reed, old man's beard, and some cattail or whatever, can definitely produce an ember. And I think once you get that ember going, you should be able to utilize it with the birch bark. But it was definitely the birch bark that caught there from that ember of the charcloth. So I think I'll do some more practice with the solar. I haven't really used it too much, and but I think that's going to be the key, is incorporating the ember with definitely with some birch bark.